Hello, this is Rusty Williamson with another cool tutorial. Today we'll be creating this cool effect of an asteroid hitting a planet and the planet being consumed by the explosion. We'll be using two free plugins from Video Copilot, the Orb plugin and Color Vibrance plugins. This is a pretty cool effect. I've already done one tutorial where I used shatter, but this one uses an animated map with the Orb plugin. Let's get right to it. Create a new composition. It can be 1920 by 1080, 24 frames a second, and 30 seconds long. We'll create a new solid. We'll call it background. We'll make it black. We'll create another new solid. We'll call it stars. And we'll make this one white. We'll add the effect CC Starburst. We'll turn the speed to 0 and the size to 30. And we'll up the scatter to about 180. Then we'll import our maps, our images. The links to these images are in the comments below. And we'll drop all these images above the star layer. We will select the clouds JPEG file and create a new composition. Move all attributes and open it. We'll put it on full resolution and we'll enable transparency and we'll add the effect extract. We'll pull the top point over until most of the black is gone. About halfway. And then we'll pull the bottom one out to feather it. Then we'll add the effect curves and we'll brighten it a little bit. We'll come back to our Comp 1, select our annular map JPEG layer, and create a new solid. We'll call this solid planet. We'll add the effect VC Orb. We'll hide our images, all 4 of them. We'll come to the properties, the VC Orb properties, and close the material and open up the maps. And for the diffuse layer, we'll specify the annular map JPEG. For the glossiness layer, we'll specify the glossiness. And for the bump map, we'll select the bump. We'll open the material properties and we'll down the specular a little bit. We'll adjust the glossiness and diffuse till it looks the way we want it. Okay. We'll select our planet layer and create a new solid. We'll call this clouds. And we'll add the effect VC Orb. We'll come down to the maps, and for the diffuse map, we'll add our Clouds JPEG Comp 1, and we'll add the same image to the bump map. Selecting the clouds layer, we'll go up to composition and say we'll go up to layer and say new light. We'll make it a point light, white, 100%. We'll zoom to full screen and move the light over. Whoops. Try that again. Until just about half the planet is lit up. Let's push T and up the intensity just a tad. There. We'll select the clouds layer and create a new solid. We'll call this solid, explosion. We'll add the effect VC Orb. And we'll up the size to 204. Somehow that layer didn't get named. Alright. We'll come down and select our Amular map. Now we have to create the animated map for the explosion orb. We'll create a new solid and we'll go ahead and call this explosion. We'll pre-compose this layer, move all attributes to the new layer and open in a new comp. Then we'll add the effect Fractal Noise. We'll change the fractal type from basic to dynamic progressive. We'll up the contrast to bring out the blacks. And we'll down the brightness to add some grays in. We'll zoom to full screen, open the transform properties, and reduce the scale to 20. Then we'll alt-click on the evolution and enter time times 350. Then we'll add the effect, VC color vibrance, and we'll bring the color just down to a nice fiery lava color, something like that. Alright, then we'll pre-compose this composition. Move all attributes and open. And we'll create a new solid. We'll call this solid crater. We'll add the effect, well, let's see. Actually, what we'll do is we'll select our explosion layer, click on the Fractal Noise, and then shift-click on the VC color vibrance and hit Control-C to copy them. And we'll go to our crater layer and paste them. Alright. We'll We'll open the transform properties and change the scale from 20 to 30. We'll come down to the color vibrance and change the color to a more yellow color. Then we'll hit P for position and raise the layer up till we have just a thin stripe at the top. That should do it. Okay, we'll come back to our Clouds JPEG Comp 1. No, Explosion Comp 1. Sorry about that. We'll zoom out and we will select the rectangular tool and draw a rectangular mask above the screen, leaving a little bit of width between the screen and the top, like so. Then we'll make sure we're at frame 0. We'll hit M and we'll keyframe the mask path. We'll come to the end of the composition, select our selection tool, click in the middle to unselect everything, and then select the 2 bottom points. Select one and then hold down Shift and select the other. Then drag them both down to just below the end of the screen, say about there. Now we've got this animated map, but we need to add one more thing. Create a new solid, call this solid rim. Add the effect. No, just go there and paste. There, perfect. We'll open the transform properties. We'll change the scale to 10. We'll go down to the color vibrance and change the color to a more yellowish color, something like that. Then we'll select our Explosion Comp 2 layer, select the mask, and hit Control C. We'll go up to the rim layer and we'll hit Control V to paste the mask. Now what we want to do is click in the middle again to unselect the points. Then select the top 2 points, hold Shift and select the second one. And then zoom in and hold down the space bar to pan up. And let's move the top down to just above the screen, a very thin strip. There. Now let's go to the end of the timeline and move the top 2 down. We'll have to pan. And move them down to below here, very thin strip. Now let's back up the timeline to about 15 seconds and check to see that our strip is following the main lava thing as it goes down. And it is. Okay. Alt-click on the offset turbulence with the rim layer selected and enter open bracket 0, comma, time times a negative 80, close bracket. Click away. Let's zoom to full screen, or rather screen to fit, and take a quick look. That's just about what we want. Let's go back to our comp 1. And select our explosion layer. Go down to the maps, open the maps up, and for the diffuse map, specify the explosion comp. And for the luminous map, also specify the explosion comp 1. Now let's see what we've got. Move the timeline forward. Okay, go up to the illumination and set it to 3. Let's advance it some more. Let's hide our explosion comp 1 layer so we don't see it. And let's go into the illumination options. We have a shadow over here. Let's see if we can adjust the shadow light extension to get rid of it. There. That's pretty good. Alright, let's back up to maybe frame. And let's position our explosion by going up to the orb rotation. First, rotation X will slide the slider. And then rotation Y to move it over into the dark area. Whoops, wrong way. Right about there. Okay, with our explosion layer selected, let's duplicate it. And then select the bottom explosion layer and rename it EXP Glow. We'll add the effect Fill. And we'll change the color to yellow. We'll solo this layer and we'll add the effect Glow. We'll up the glow radius until we have a little bit of glow around the outside, just a little bit. Then we'll unsolo the layer. Okay, the next thing we need to do is create a new composition. We'll call this composition Particles. We'll create a new layer, call this Parts for Particles, and we'll add the effect CC Particle World. We'll go to full screen, advance the effect so we can see what we're doing, and we'll open the producer up and we will raise the Y, position Y, just a tiny bit, maybe to there. Then we'll down the longevity, reduce it until all the particles are in the frame. Maybe about 4.5 or 4.4. Let's see what we have. That looks pretty good. Alright, we'll duplicate this layer. And then we'll add an adjustment layer. And we'll add the effect to the adjustment layer. Time Warp. Then we'll duplicate the adjustment layer twice. Alright, let's see what we have now. Let's reduce from full resolution to quarter. Alright. Perfect. Let's go back to our Comp 1, open our project panel, and drag the particle layers above the explosion layer. Hit S for scale, and let's scale them down. Maybe to around 30. Then let's select the pan behind tool and move the center to the center of the particles. So when we rotate it, it'll rotate from the center. Select our selection tool and move the center of the particles to the center of the explosion. Hit R for rotate and rotate till it looks good. Okay, let's back up a little to maybe frame the 2 seconds, about 2 seconds, and move the particle layer to that point. We don't want them to start right away. Okay, we want to find where the explosion first starts. Maybe about there. And then we want to add an adjustment layer. And to the adjustment layer, add the effect lens flare. Take the flare center and position it in the center of the explosion. Then change the lens type to 105mm prime. Reduce the flare brightness to maybe 67. Then keyframe the flare brightness. Go 1 frame back by hitting Control left arrow and change it to 0. Now move forward to maybe 5 seconds and change it to 0 again. Alright, let's see what we've got. Alright, you can add a camera and zoom in, swing around to the back and catch it closing out, like I did for the example, or leave it as is, customize it any way you want. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Until the next one, thanks a lot.